As we continue our pros and cons series of the gig economy, we finally get to the market share dominator, the heavyweight, the leader of the bunch, so to speak, and that is DoorDash. And I had to bust out the heavy artillery because DoorDash is the biggest app on the market, so I had to bring one of the biggest names in gig to help me out with this one. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to another Cruisin with Corey. Here we are talking about the pros and cons of DoorDash. This is our fourth in the series. We've already covered Spark, Uber Eats, and Shipt, and now we get ourselves to the market share dominator, DoorDash. Of course, if it's your first time with me, I am a dad. I do all these gig apps, and Sara and I have become kind of YouTube best friends, so to speak, over the last month or two. We both have a lot in common with how we use and utilize these apps. We're both basically stay-at-home parents. We use these apps to fill in the gaps while we're taking care of our kids, taking them to where they need to be, and working around our spouse's schedule. So we have a lot of commonality with how we utilize these apps and our mentality on the market. She mainly does food. I do all of them, but I focus on shopping. So between the two of us, you get a really good scope of the gig economy. If you're living under a rock and you have not subscribed to her, go ahead and help her out. And of course, if you haven't with me, I would also appreciate that as well, as I try to get 1,500 on the way to 2,000 subscribers. But enough banter and ado. Sara has volunteered to be the DoorDash Debbie Downer. Sara, take it away with the cons.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for having me, Corey, and letting me be the negative Nancy for the pros and the cons of DoorDash. So if you don't know me, my name is Sara Elizabeth. I have my own YouTube channel, and I've been talking about these gig apps, delivering on these gig apps for almost 7 years now. So I think I know a little bit about the DoorDash app. I'm going to try to talk about things that like a lot of other people aren't pointing out, and also not compare it to other apps. So my first con is the stressful part of DoorDash. Drivers can get bad ratings for things that are out of their control, such as missing items in a sealed bag, or restaurants being really busy and making you wait a long time for the food. Simple things like this, or the customer complaining that their food never arrived. A lot of customers aren't honest because they're just trying to get free food. And the way that these DoorDash commercials make us DoorDash drivers look like we are jumping on our jet to get this food to their door in less than 2 minutes. Also, a lot of the commercials show the dasher handing over the red bag, which is something we don't do. That is something I don't understand why they show that in the commercial, but it is not true. And then if you have trouble finding parking, whether it's at the restaurant or you have trouble finding their apartments. I know I can't be alone having trouble finding apartments or apartment numbers, or when they have two sets and the same door numbers on each side, like which one are you on? Sometimes when I arrive to the restaurant, I'll get a pop-up on my DoorDash screen telling me to look inside the bag and make sure all of the items are there. But as we know, they all should be, but most bags are completely sealed. You cannot see in the bag. And the workers are just going to tell you, yeah, sure, everything's in there. Restaurants even make the little stickers, the tamper-proof seals, so that we can't look in the bag. So we have to take the restaurant's word for it. The customer has to take our word for it. So all of these things can be very stressful and can potentially hurt our ratings, our deliver by time, our customer satisfaction. Con number 2 I have for being a DoorDash driver is driver competition. If your acceptance rate is low, you do have to schedule to be able to drive in your area. If there is availability, But if your ratings are high, if your acceptance rate is high, you can dash anytime, which leads to the app being oversaturated. And in many markets, there are way too many drivers, which leads to fewer orders, longer idle time, and more low-paying offers. Some drivers sit for anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes without a single order. I see a lot in my comment section that people just don't get orders if it's too saturated. And you would think, okay, just keep your ratings high, but to have your acceptance rate high, you are going to be having to accept orders that are like $3 for 7 miles. And I don't know about you, but at the end of the day, if you're accepting a lot of orders like that, your profits are going to reflect on it. It's pretty hard to keep your acceptance rate above the threshold to where you can dash anytime, which, like I said, oversaturates the area, because the more drivers that can drive anytime they want in any area they want is going to be a super oversaturated area. Con number 3 of being a DoorDash driver is the algorithm is a mystery. You're working with an algorithm here. It depends who's closer to the restaurant, what customers are ordering from that restaurant. The way the app distributes orders isn't really transparent, and drivers often wonder, why am I not getting any offers? Why did that order just disappear? Why did the pay suddenly increase after I declined it and now I'm getting the order for a second time, but it's a higher number? With this algorithm, it changes daily. You're not guaranteed to make this week what you worked last week, even if you're in the same zone, even if you're working the same exact hours as last week, you're not guaranteed anything. Okay, I hope I wasn't too negative, and I hope Corey has some really good positive points to talk about for being a DoorDash driver, and I hope I don't make you just want to uninstall the app. Thank you, Corey, for having me in this portion of the video, being the negative Nancy. I hope I wasn't too negative, but also I'm just trying to be real. I'm about to start delivering myself, so thank you for watching, and back to you, Corey.
Thank you for that, Sarah. And now back to me with the pros. And that's something I have been working on as a whole lately, is being more positive, not just in gig, but just in life in general. I know a couple of my most recent videos have been the opposite, but I actually appreciate being the pros and looking at the positives. And pro number 1 is market share. What does that mean? DoorDash is dominating the market. More people use it than the other apps. That's going to mean you have more orders. As of the time of this recording and the source that I found, DoorDash has around 65% of the market share in the delivery market. Uber Eats around 23 to 25, and then Grubhub around 10. It fluctuates. You could do your own specific math, but either way, DoorDash is going to have the most order flow. Even if it's not your biggest money maker, it is going to give you the most flow. It's going to give you the most rejections, the most accepts. You're just going to be able to sift through the most. Myself, I hover between 5 and 15% AR, and on most nights, maybe not a Tuesday night that's raining during the school season, on a weekend or a Friday night, a Saturday night, a Sunday, I, with my 5 to 15%, can sift through and I can make good orders, I can make good money, and I don't need to worry about that. So in a time where other apps are starting to fail and starting to lose volume and starting to make drivers pivot, DoorDash still has that order flow. Number 2 on my pros, DoorDash is an all-in-one app. A lot of these apps are focused on one thing, whether it be food, whether it be shopping, whether it be packages. DoorDash does everything. It is an Amazon Flex with Dashlink. It's an Instacart or Shipt with shopping orders. And of course, it is an Uber Eats and Grubhub, because it primarily focused on food. That's what made DoorDash's claim to fame. As someone who used to be a sparker primarily, DoorDash has allowed me to focus on it more and use it more. And it's honestly become more of my go-to app as of late. Ever since I got the pro shopper status, I get priority on good shopping orders, $30, $40, $50 orders on the weekends. Those are normal for me. I can sprinkle in the food. Even if I don't make the money I used to make on Spark 2 or 3 years ago doing DoorDash exclusively, I make more money doing DoorDash between shops and food delivery than I would make camping at my Walmart waiting for orders to come through. So it has a little bit for everyone, especially if you like to shop. Get that pro shopper status. It is annoying sometimes, but it is certainly beneficial. Number 3, this is my pro. I feel like I'm going to get mutilated in the comments for this, but I think, and my number 3 is that DoorDash has your back more than the other apps do relatively. What do I mean by that? If you think of the commonalities that happen in the gig economy, customers cancel their order, an order's already been picked up, a customer is being abusive to you, the directions are wrong, like all of these things that happen, and think of how you do it on Spark. How do you deal with a customer who cancels the order when you're halfway to the location? Spark makes you drive 30 miles back, 20 miles back, however far it is, and they don't really pay you for it. What if a customer is being abusive? You have to call support. You have to go and try to get someone on. I don't feel comfortable. They have to analyze it, blah, blah, blah. It turns into a process. Yes, people get deactivated for stupid stuff. Yes, people get contract violations for stupid stuff. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but what I'm saying is on the day-to-day, I believe DoorDash takes care of the driver with normal issues better. As I said, with the abuse and the customers with the bad language that are threatening you and being a-holes, DoorDash will automatically cancel the order once the AI detects the chat, and they're pretty good about it. I've seen that happen a lot. If a customer cancels the order and you're halfway to their address, they're not going to make you drive all the way back. They take the hit. They still give you half pay. If you show up to the restaurant and the order has been taken by another driver and they just didn't report it and blah, blah, it's a stolen order, you still get half pay. On Uber, on Grubhub, trying to get that is mutiny. And you're going through these supports when DoorDash takes care of you off the bat. Not saying it's perfect, but if I had to have any of those anomaly situations happen while doing any app, I would rather those anomaly situations happen on DoorDash.
Nice.
So in the end, 2026, as we record this video, is DoorDash worth it? Absolutely. If you are a gig driver who does not have it in your repertoire, I highly recommend having it. If you got deactivated on it, try to get reactivated. Even if you are a Sparker, there's a ton of Sparkers on my channel who do it exclusively. You need to have other things in your repertoire. If Walmart dies down, if it sends you into the middle of nowhere, you can use food delivery, namely DoorDash, to get shopping orders at that local convenience store, to get food delivery and head back to Walmart and minimize dead miles. DoorDash is all but a requirement to have in your repertoire, even if it's not your app of choice, to at least have it. So that's where I stand. Again, I want to thank you, Sara, for helping me out on this video and coming in and doing those cons. Again, check her videos out. She does great stuff. Who's to say we don't do further collabs in the future? Put in the comments below your thoughts on this. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? What app do you want me to cover next? I'm aiming to Instacart, but if you guys have something else you want me to talk about, again, let me know. Open to suggestions. You can consider hitting that join button down below if you want to help the channel out in that way. I highly appreciate it, but if you don't, that's perfectly fine. Just watching these videos helps me out enough, and I'm surely appreciative of that. But that's going to be Cruisin' with Corey. Corey out.